It's done. Just do you need a makeover? Redesign, reposture, reposition, and recheck yourself. Just go over each of those things, and then we're done.
Sure. When you're working through projects or you're working through an initiative, you've got an objective, you've got a goal. Even though you need to thoroughly, constantly recheck, redesign, reposture, reposition yourself, you also want to do that towards and at the end of the project to prepare yourself for the next project, for the next initiative. And it's always best to do that when you're fresh and everything's fresh in your mind. For example, I believe Slavic mentioned it in his interview, but even dancers, they always go back to the foundation. And you always want to recheck everything. You also want to check your posturing. And posturing is not just a dance or not just the way you hold yourself up to be confident, but posturing is also how you posture your message, your story. Because Chapter 5 was about the story, so Chapter 6 is you always want to cross-check the story. You want to reposture, and it's an ever-evolving process. Going back to my example that I gave you earlier about my own company's website, it's not the same as it was 5 years ago, a year ago, or even 6 months ago, and it's not going to be the same 5 years from now or even a year from now, because we're constantly reposturing and repositioning our storyline, our messaging. And you always want to cross-check or recheck that information with not only yourself, the executives, management, but the employees. It's very important for the employees to have a clear message. Further, it's very important that your partners, whether those partners are internal or external, to have the same messaging, and your clients. You want to make sure your clients understand what you're putting out there and it's clear cut. I usually sit and I go through even YouTube videos and I never understand what the underlying cut message is and how I'm being drawn in as a client to some of the promotional videos that are put out there. They're great, they're wonderful, they're jazzy, they're hip, they're the newest and the latest, but it doesn't tell me that story. So you always want to cross-check, you want to recheck yourself.
Okay, so
you want to make sure that the redesign is in sync as well with the latest that's out there.
Okay, so let's can we go definition for each of those words?
Sure.
Both in terms of business and in terms of dance.
Redesign would be looking at what's the latest that's out there in terms of technology. And I'll give an example. I'm going to give an example. It might not be the best of examples, but for example, a video that I just uploaded for an executive retreat we're doing is Facebook now allows for you to add text caption to your videos so that people that are at work or, they're in a crowded, busy place, they can't just listen to your video. They can actually see the text caption. So you always want to look at the design that you've put out and then look at what's available to redesign to make it accessible for current day's lifestyle. A lot of people are traveling, a lot of people are busy with families, but they want to cross-check the information real quick. How do you get it out to them in an efficient manner? Looking at a lot of mobile apps, with the new greatest technologies, how is mobility enhancing the lifestyle? So you want to redesign things to make it accessible and easy and flexible for consumers or your clients to use. So not everything is a B2C, business to consumer, but a lot of things are business to business. And you want to always keep many parties that are involved in your mind. It's not just about how you think the design should be used, but you always want to redesign for the benefit of others.
And
Make sense?
yeah, and how about in dance? What is redesign?
I'm sorry?
And in dance, what would you be looking at when you redesign? And what do you mean?
Okay, in dance, when you're redesigning, you're looking at the choreography. Does the story of that choreography make sense for the audience? Does it make sense for the judges? Because, judges are looking at a snapshot picture, so are, the audience. Is it captivating? Is it inspiring? Does it tell your story? And you might want to redesign the way things are.
Okay, would it also apply to costumes and things like that?
Yeah, you could apply it to costumes. You want to make sure not only does it fit within the guidelines of the rule book, but you also want to make sure that you're using the latest and greatest. Maybe it's the new Swarovski stones that came out, or
You mean Swarovski?
Of Swarovski. I'm sorry?
Swarovski? The crystal?
Swarovski.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
Swarovski. Everybody pronounces it differently.
Yeah.
So, yes, Swarovski. So,
Because you never know, in dance you guys may have something that I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, or you might have to use fishnets, or you might have to use a certain bronzer, but a certain bronzer used to make somebody look orange, but you need to redesign and use the new technology. Or you need to get your messaging out in terms of, for example, Adele came out with the song Hello, which made a huge hit, and Partner Dance had redesigned their choreography to map and match with Adele's song. Same with 50 Shades of Grey. This amazing couple, and I think the guy is a dancer on Dancing with the Stars, I think for Germany or Holland or another country, and they did a really amazing job with merging the different 50 Shades of Grey songs to recreate, recraft, redesign that storyline of 50 Shades into the dancing. So you can do it back and forth. You can take something that already exists and express it through the dancing, or you can take the dancing and express a new way of thinking.
Okay, good.
Those are examples?
Yeah, they're great.
Those examples help?
Yes, they do. So
Yeah,
back to
I'm going to write down the names of the dancers let me make a note to myself for both of the 50 Shades. It's really pretty cool to watch.
Oh, nice.
And what did I say? Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Adele's. Yeah, both of them are really cool to watch. So I'll send those to you.
Okay, and just a definition for reposture. I think we've got the examples already.
Well, reposture. So if we were to look at legal, and you go through the process of deposition and trials and what have you not, lawyers are constantly trying to posture and position the story.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I would definitely use the example of lawyers, but there's also other industries that are constantly trying to position the story. So it's not just lawyers, but it could be the financial industry. Like CFOs are constantly trying to posture and position the financial vision for investors. And same thing with marketers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, marketers are constantly doing that. So when you look at the different industry types and you look at the different methods, they're constantly posturing and positioning themselves. But
Okay,
you constantly need to reposition and reposture.
Can you give me a simple definition of reposture and a simple definition of
These
reposition?
would be my definitions, right?
Right. Well,
So,
this is your book, so.
So this is my book, so it's my definition. So reposture would be both reposture and repositioning would have to do with your messaging. You know, how do you your posture would be more of your branding, but it doesn't have to be your own company's branding. But if we were to use the example of lawyers, the lawyers are posturing and crafting your style and your brand a certain way. Marketers are doing the same thing. Financial strategists are doing the same thing. And if we were to look at positioning, they're taking that posturing and they're positioning you in a way that makes sense for industry to understand. It could be industry for financial strategists who are looking to do investors. It could be positioning you for the judge and the jury if you're looking at lawyers. Or it could be positioning you for lead generation for customers or businesses, consumers or businesses, for marketers. So there's many ways or many industries look at not just posturing you, getting you ready, but also positioning you. And you need to constantly recheck and go back to it to make sure or really alter what needs to be done. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, SEOs, search engine optimization, which marketers use to generate leads, are very important because they're constantly evaluating that information. Are they generating leads?
Right. And
right?
So
after they've done a campaign, you need to constantly go back to that campaign. It's not just a one shot. I did the campaign. It's great. No. What can I do to drive more leads, to drive more attendance, to drive more attention, to make sure that I'm getting a higher rate on conversion?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So just to clarify, to make sure what I think I'm understanding is correct. So reposturing is kind of your overall brand, but repositioning is a particular campaign or a particular.
So you reposture, and then you position it correctly. Okay, so if we were to look at, let's take a look at my website,
okay,
for example.
Mm-hmm.
I have repostured my messaging, but I need to consider repositioning it to make sure it makes sense to the audience. So I might use certain keywords that would be triggered based on Google or Bing or whatever search criteria it is. So I need to put my mind into the mindset of those searching for certain keywords. What would they use to get a better optimization of searches to drive them to my website? Okay? So I would reposture my website messaging, but I would reposition it to make sure it's most effective. So again, you're looking, even with reposturing and repositioning, you're looking at efficiency and you're looking at effectiveness again.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly looking at that. So when I reposture, I'm looking at the efficiency. When I reposition after I've repostured, I'm looking at how effective can I be with the way I have now repostured. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Maybe, because I think you've changed kind of where you're going with this.
So you first need to reposture, and then you need to reposition.
So a reposture.
Dancing.
I need like a straightforward definition of reposturing, not examples. Reposturing is when you.
Reposturing is when you need to make changes. Give me a second. Let me think of a good definition.
If you want, you can send this to me because I'm not starting this chapter till Friday or Monday.
Okay, I will send you the definition for reposturing.
And I also need some notes on how will this work for dance.
Okay, Mahesh, I lost you. I also need an example for what?
Dance. I mean, a definition in terms of what does this mean for dance? We've been doing all business.
Okay, but you got the examples for business.
I mean, I think I'm good for business.
Okay.
I just need a definition that works. Because the efficiency, I mean, we've got efficiency as, cutting back on expenses and things like that previously.
Not always. Efficiency is not always about cutting back on expenses. It's reevaluating for improvement.
Okay.
It's not always about cutting expenses. Sometimes you do need to invest to make sure that you're being efficient. Remember the Google and the Uber car
Right.
example where you just need to cycle back? Like there is an accident. It already exists, and you need to figure out how to be more efficient in making sure that considering other drivers who are texting and you get into a car accident, you need to be more efficient back into your own design.
Right. Or if your your manufacturing process could there could be a weakness, and you need to spend money at a certain place.
Correct.
Okay. Because it almost feels to me like what you've described thus far is reposturing. You're focusing on your brand itself. It's more general. It's your branding and kind of identity material. And repositioning has to do with kind of a case by case basis. So a particular product as opposed to.
Yeah, so another example, and I'll create the definition for you. Another example would be like my upcoming retreat. I have repostured taking materials from the book, taking materials from exercises I've done with clients, and reposturing it for a retreat workshop. To reposition it, I will have different messaging for different audiences I'm trying to attract to the same retreat. So for technology channel market, which works with partnerships in the technology manufacturing world,
right.
I will have one campaign for executives and corporations. I will have a different campaign for the same retreat.
Got it. I got it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. That makes it very clear. So one is the branding for the overall thing, and one is the
branding for the overall thing is transforming your business from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the branding, that's the messaging for the overall. But I need to have a different campaign so it makes sense to different audiences.
Right.
So I need a reposition.
Right. And so in dance...
Right, it is on a case-by-case campaign basis, for example.
Yeah. I get that. That's good. Okay. But now in dance, I don't understand it in dance because it doesn't seem as complicated.
I'll come up with an example for dance. Because I have to think of different dance styles, and like you might have, and actually the video of like the 50 Shades is pretty good. The messaging is 50 Shades, but they have incorporated different dance styles within the same theme to be able to bring out the message more effectively. So, for example, they maneuver from, tango to possibly some samba music, which I don't think they use samba, but they use some sort of waltz. And also, Ricardo and Yulia do this very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you some videos of them where they have music and they are constantly repositioning to reposture their message better. So they go from, in the same music, they go from samba to paso doble to rumba in the same music. And I'll send you that video. Ricardo, Yulia.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that definition works because most dance. I mean, when you're doing paso doble, typically you're doing paso doble, right?
Correct. However, if you are choreographing, you can merge and you can basically reposition to the same. If you're taking a choreography and you're reposturing it, you're automatically going to have to end up repositioning it because you're trying to attract something new, something different. Whether it's a new audience or you're recrafting, you're redoing something, but the first step is to reposture.
Okay,
as soon as you reposture, when you're putting it out there, you're going to be repositioning it.
Okay, and so the reposturing is kind of the...
To do it for a new judge or new competition. Like, for example, you might be competing at Blackpool, which is a big, huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to make it way more jazzy or add a few things or, maybe even simplify it to show how great your technique is.
Got it. Okay, so then I feel really good on repositioning now. Reposturing is more branding for the dancers, correct?
Reposturing is looking at your messaging for the dancers. Is it clear? Will it inspire? Will it entertain? Will it grab? For what you are trying to do at that moment. Like when you look at the judges on Dancing with the Stars, and they're evaluating, and I think it was Toni Braxton's sister, where they said it was great. There was samba music, but we didn't see a lot of samba action. We didn't see a lot of that samba movement. Well, that reposturing, that message, that rebranding, that identity you were trying to bring out in the samba wasn't there. The judges didn't see it. So when the dancers, I think it was with Val, I think it was Toni Braxton's sister and Val, who went back to the drawing board, and they had to create a new dance. They weren't doing samba again, but they had to go back to the drawing board, redesign, and make sure that the judges can see what their messaging is.
Got it. Okay, I get that. And then the next time for other judges. All right, and so
and it's going to be a different dance, but now you know what to take into consideration. So
Right.
even after every project in a business, you learn something from it.
That you can carry to the
you-
next, to anything.
Yeah. And that's why you go through this process. You're always constantly learning, you're evolving, you're changing.
Okay.
And it's okay because it's going to push you to be a better person. It's going to push your company to be greater than what
Right.
it is now.
And what is rechecking?
You want to cross-check to make sure you have everything down. So your foundation is really important. You want to recheck to make sure your footwork is the same. You want to recheck and make sure in business you got your documents in check. You know, you want to recheck and you just want to go back through the whole cycle again and to make sure that what did I do wrong? Did we miss some information so that next time when we're in the insight phase, we know to be asking for X, Y, and Z information.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's...
And same applies with dancing.
Right. Well, I've got some really good quotes about... Beth goes back to the fundamentals with Jenya.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And I think I had a lot of... Regarding change, I think for some reason I had some, questions. It's about creativity and innovation. As the market, as industry changes, you're constantly wanting to change and evolve because it's not just about what you would do on a project is not static because things around you are going to be changing.
Right.
For example, if I worked on a certain initiative for the government for a client and helping them message and brand their technology, 2 years, 3 years from that down the road, that initiative no longer exists. The government has a new initiative. So you are automatically going to have to change and check your technology to a new initiative.
Right.
And your partnership is going to change. Same with dancing. I think you're right. Jenya mentioned that dancing has evolved and people are now looking for speed. And how many spins can you do and how much speed, and it's very cool. How much more jazzy, acrobatic things can you add to it? Where in the past it was a lot more about the foundation techniques. But don't quote me on this one. You're going to have to cross-check your interview notes.
Okay. But I can always attribute it to you and not him. So...
Good, but I'll cross-check my information on how dancing has evolved over the years.
Right. I'll look at Jenya's interview again.
Yeah, he's well-versed on the dancing than I am. So.
Right. All right, do you have anything else you want to add? Because I think that covers it for me.
No, as long as we've got those main things in there, like improvement, flexibility to change your mindset, going back to your employees, going back to your partners, your customers, your clients, I think that's really what is really important for me because it's about the evolution. It's about evolving yourself, your business, helping your partners evolve. That's really what it is for me about this chapter. So if we've got that covered, I'm comfortable.
All right. Well, great.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you'll be.
Easy.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me stop. If we talk anymore, it doesn't need to be on tape. So hold on.